Hey, welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Wake up, sleepyheads. I was just complaining about my hair 2 seconds ago because I had it nicely, and it's South Florida during the summer times. I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's like, I shouldn't be complaining, but it is humid, as Bernie Sanders would say. You better forget about going down to Florida. It is too humid for my noggin. It's too humid for the hair. My hair just fell down. I had it up nicely, a little. Okay, whatever. I still have the shades on. I'm still here with you. I've already done my Tai Chi, had my first cup of coffee, and just excited and blessed for even the few people that are here so early. What's up, Fred? If you grab it, it's hands free, says Mr. Edwards. Guys, I want to thank you all so much for joining us. This is Drive Time. It is your time. It is Wednesday, right in the middle of the day. Of course, with me. He's hanging out over there, probably drinking his Mountain Dew. Ladies and gentlemen.
Coffee. Coffee.
You on coffee? All right.
I'm on coffee. I woke up late.
What time was late? You got to sleep in a little bit?
Like, I don't know, 5:45 or so.
What is it that wakes you up? Is it anxiety some of the times? Is it just not? Is it uncomfortableness and pain?
Pain, probably.
And excitement. What wakes up Sleepy J? I think the audience wants to know.
My leg's all fucked up, so pain is usually the deciding factor that I need to get the hell out of bed.
You're supposed to lie to the audience for reasons that, for marketing reasons. Oh, Pasta, I wake up because I'm so excited to do a show with you. I just can barely sleep.
Hey, I wouldn't be here otherwise. I'd be sleeping.
The cover up of Sleepy J. Dude, I got the thumbnail right on the Rumble. I got the 4-1 thumbnails now. And we all need new pictures. Except for Nico. Nico's picture.
Nico's is fantastic.
Yeah.
I like Karen's. I like Karen's picture.
Karen's, I told Karen, and she's going to be here today, we're going to have to do a photo shoot day. And she's like, oh, hell no. She's like one of those country girls.
I like the picture. It's a cute picture.
She's like,
we definitely need one from Kyle. Kyle actually has a good one on YouTube. It's just too small, so I need to get a bigger version of it.
And Kyle Anselin will be here tomorrow. Karen will be here today. Kyle, though, Judge Knapp has taken a couple-week break. And truthfully, it's been like the only show I've been watching. So he's been gone. And what do you have to do? You throw on a little Kyle Anselin because he's got his own channel. And it doesn't get the views it deserves. The information that's coming out of there, I mean, it's just that, when you watch those shows for a person like myself, I can take a few notes. I'll watch a show, a half-hour show he has, and he'll say like 2 or 3 things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Go look it up, research it, and it just helps the argument. It helps you see the bigger picture. He's got an encyclopedia of knowledge out there. Good morning, Snorky. Good morning, Knights. Is it Choosy or Shoney and we got to get all these guys' number in the doc. We have a bunch of people's number in the doc. We don't have Snorky's in there. I don't see Knights of the Malts. Guys, I want to be able to reach out to you and touch you, speak to you. We did talk.
I haven't updated the list for the last few days either. I have them in my notes though.
On air here.
I have my notes now. I got daily notes with all these numbers and names in them.
What's your middle name?
James.
Sleepy James Josh. Now.
It's like my late mother, man. If that name got spoken, I was in deep shit.
So I still can't believe I'm in a spot that the snowbird, Boca Raton, Florida, right now. So I moved here from New York in 1979. I lived on the outer skirts. There's 3 poor areas. I don't want to say they're poor, middle-class areas. A middle-class area in Boca Raton back in the days was a poor area. But there was 3 areas like that. And one was called Pearl City, which was like some city projects in the middle east, central Boca. The other ones, they were just the trailer park homes. I forgot what they were called. We would call them Scumberland Farms because there was a Cumberland Farms little shop over there. And you know how kids can be nasty, and so that's what the nickname was. And the other was Dog Patch, and that's in northeast Boca, and it's still one strip of land, except a bunch of it's gotten a little upgrade. It's not a lot, but I was one of the 3 areas. I moved to one of those 3 areas because my parents were middle class. They weren't rich. My dad was a chef. My mom had worked for a secretary for STP and whatnot for a while, and then she started her own businesses, So when I moved to Boca Raton, I moved a long, long time ago. But I can't believe it's still an area that people get up and leave. There's called snowbirds, Josh. They leave for half the freaking year, and the traffic is less. The restaurants are less. I mean, it's weird because they have to plan their economy around a bunch of, and I believe in whatchamacallit, what was it? The Family Guy. There was an episode where Peter called him Peter Griffin. He called them leavers are here, and the leavers come. You know what I'm saying? And we have a bunch of leavers. It's funny. And right now they're not around because it's swamp weather down here. But in New York, it's like humid too. Anyways,
yeah, it's humid as shit here too. So.
All right, had a nice ribeye last night for dinner. Some green chimichurri. We had some polenta left over and some nice salad. So that's what's going on. A lot of pasta in the house from Uncle Pasta. So that's been going on. We're going to have a good show today, right? Because there's a lot of crazy things. Crazy Fingers. Who's Crazy Fingers? If somebody says, Pasta, you ever go to shows by a local band named, he says named, Crazy Fingers? No, but I will look them up or send me some information. If there's a local band called Crazy Fingers, I'm going to say the Raw Meat Herd told me to come see you. You know who the Raw Meat Herd is? Karen Quakehouse is going to be here. Excuse me as I get hydrated from a nice grapefruit tangerine Nixie sparkling calorie-free water. Karen's going to be here today. It's very interesting. I mean, for us, it's so weird because we're just going along, moving along. To us, it's July, was it 6th or 8th? July 8th, Wednesday. It's like a normal day, My boy Mikey called me and said, hey, man, I don't know if you want to hang out after, get some dinner, but there's half bottle of wines. It's Wine Down Wednesday someplace in Meisner Park. There's going to be some soccer games on. The World Cup has been going on. Oh, my God, the controversy there. I mean, just some horseshit things happening. The nation of Egypt. And I know people go, it's just a soccer game, Pastor, bread and circuses. Yeah, but to the people, a lot of everyday average Joes in Egypt, it means a lot to them. They put a lot of, and they invest a lot of stock and energy and pride in rooting for their soccer team. Boy, did they get robbed. And if you don't know, Lionel Messi from Argentina is a very big supporter of Israel. Somebody said they put a tweet over this yesterday. Argentina had won the game. A lot of controversy. They took a goal away from Egypt. When I got a text from Matt right away, Matt Weinglass, almost left, I was like, come on, Matt, because I was doing some moving yesterday, boxing up, and then I watched it. It was just a tragedy the way they stole a goal away from the Egyptian team. I know it's bread and circuses, but like I said, a lot of people invest time and energy. Messi from Argentina is known to be a pretty hardcore Zionist. He's kissed the wall. Somebody made a tweet. Well, you can't say that Messi isn't working hard. And it's a picture of him kissing the wall. And the claim is that the FIFA jerk-offs, the people who run the soccer tournament, the league, the World Cup, and all that, are fixing the game in favor of Israel. And they also tried to do something for the United States. I mean, it was very odd what happened in the United States. A player got a red card the game before. Red card means you're thrown out of that game and you can't play in the next game. FIFA rescinded it and then allowed him to play. They lost the game 4-1 in spite because the energy was bad. And, Donald Trump had talked about it. Like he had talked to FIFA about getting to change that. And it's one of those things that even though the play shouldn't have resulted in a red card, it was a bad call by the referee. Had they looked at it right at the moment and made the change then, totally different. But a red card was given. And just like in any sports, there's going to be missed calls, bad calls, and you got to play through it and deal with it. For them to go and change it in the middle of a tournament. Now, they've changed them before the World Cup has started. Like, okay, we want to make sure that this guy doesn't get a red card before they go off to the World Cup. We want him to qualify, that kind of thing, whatever. But in the middle of the World Cup, they wouldn't do those things. And America is one of the host nations. It's Mexico, Canada, and then United States of America. And they took back the card and they allowed the player to play. It's very odd that they did that. And it is unjust. It is unfair. And it does seem like they were leaning into stuff. The host nation gets to get a red card from one of their players rescinded. As bad as the call was, he shouldn't have got the red card. I don't want to win like that. And the same thing that happened the other day. There's got to be some missed calls, some bad calls. I mean, the call that was missed was all the way down by the Egypt goal. And the ball was taken all the way up the pitch. I love to call it the pitch. And then an amazing pass and score. I mean, it was the goal of the tournament so far because of the way the guy got the ball up there. He went through a couple players and then he made another pass. But the final pass before the goal was kicked was amazing. The player took his shirt off during the celebration and screamed. For them to go back and pull that away from them, it's disgusting. It's a sin. And Yasim Bosef, I think, is it Bassem Youssef, right? Bassam, the comedian.
Yeah. That's his name.
I once played a video before everybody knew who he was when I was hosting Jimmy Dore. And on the Facebook, it got like almost 1 million views. It was like, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know, but he's hit pretty hard. Well, he even talked. He even said, you guys in FIFA are trying. You're making all the conspiracy theorists look like they know what the fuck they're talking about. That, they can believe all the shit that you were trying to rig this for Lionel Messi. And he even admitted Messi is one of the best players in the world. He said he's the best player in the world. And that taking away of the goal from Egypt, and you could see the Egyptian team was livid. They missed the call because it was a foul, right? It was a foul. He stepped on his foot. It should have been called, but it wasn't called. It's like basketball. It's like soccer. You got to play through bad calls, missed calls. It happens. It's part of the game. For them to go back like the way they did, like a minute and change later after a goal, it was pretty disgusting. And I feel bad for the Egyptian players because that's who I ultimately feel bad for or good for in the end, the players. Like the whole New York Knicks thing. I am a Knicks fan. I got my Knicks cup. And it was an amazing run. But I'm okay with it because it's some character players. The players are fucking good players on the New York Knicks. I don't care what a few idiot fans did. It doesn't represent all of us or all the fans. That's just ridiculous.
Aren't they trading that guy? That Jalen dude?
No.
I thought they were trading.
Jalen Brunson he'll die in New York, Nick.
Oh, I think it was another Jalen that
Mitchell Robinson got traded. Not traded. I heard that he got let go. His contract didn't get renewed. And he went on to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. Why the hell did they mention that other guy in that, whatever I read about it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's the leader, and they're trying to, he took a smaller pay. He left I think it was $181 million or something like that over the course of 10 years. Like he let I think it was $81 million on the table. He took lower money to go over and play for the New York Knicks. And like I said, at the end of the day, character team. Not just Jalen Brunson, but Josh Hart, who was his teammate and won a national championship over in Villanova with him. Character player. Mikal Bridges, who's known as the Iron Man player. He never gets hurt. Good character guy. Cat, who they brought on over in a trade. Sweetheart. I mean, all these players are really good players. And they even went out and kind of I don't know if they did this, if it just happened that way, Sleepy J, but when they signed Cat, when Cat, his name is Carl Anthony Towns. He is a Dominican, Afro-Indigenous Dominican player. He's born in America, but his parents are Afro-Indigenous from the Dominican. And he, fit in that New York mold because there's a lot of Dominicans in New York. And then they signed Jose Alvarado, who's a Puerto Rican kid. I think he brought the NBA trophy to Puerto Rico. I don't know if they did that on purpose or they just so happened, but it was kind of cool to add to the culture of New York. You know what I'm saying? That's why the connection with that team was so special because they were additional players to the core. Well, I don't want to say the core, but they had this Villanova group of kids who won things together. So I feel either happiness or sadness for the players. I don't want to go mumbling on. I felt that for the Egyptian players yesterday. They got robbed. And they would have taken down the defending champions in Lionel Messi in Argentina, and I feel bad about that because they did get screwed. But while all the bread and circuses are going on, and I'm telling you that I had some beautiful ribeye last night with green chimichurri, war is still going on, and war is amped up again. The MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, which is the policy style of, you get what I'm saying, dude? We got an understanding now, man. You don't hit on my chicks, I don't hit on yours. You don't touch my beer, I don't touch yours. A Memorandum of Understanding, which was a fucking joke to begin with. Well, now it's back to all-out war again. The United States is bombing. And I heard they even bombed, once again, citizen infrastructure, which is against the law, right? Civilian infrastructure, blah, 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 Brooklyn tongue, which is against the law, which is a war crime. You shouldn't be bombing. And once again, the United States leading the charge in making sure these international laws were put into place, right? After World War II, it was supposed to be never again. Humanity should never go through that ever again, And there were people who were very much expressing that. Well, all that's fucking gone because every single day now, American bombs are dropping. But please, tell me it's all Israel. Tell me it's all fucking Israel.
It's our fucking bombs, dude.
Yeah,
it's our bombs.
Our bombs. It's Sleepy. It's like you talk about Sleepy, they got the chime. They're hypnotizing you. The United States is being held hostage by Israel. Please. My friend says we're going to have independence. Pal, we already have independence.
Man, we're being held hostage by fucking money, dude.
By fucking oligarch, elitist, predator class, vampire class scumbags. Peaceful revolution needed, whatever, but don't kid yourself. This ain't Israel pulling all the strings. Fucking Lockheed Martin gets a $38 billion contract. No bid. No competition. Here you go.
The way I feel about it,
they got bombs, Sleepy.
I don't think they control where we go to war. I just think it's beneficial for both. So, You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. That's the point I'm trying to make. They're accomplices. They're culprits.
Exactly.
They're working together. But right now the talk has put it all on Israel's shoulders, Sleepy. That's the thing I'm trying to fucking stress over here. That is the wrong mind fucking set. And
dude, we've been bombing people since before Israel was a fucking state. So,
Yeah. And all the bombs you said come from where? Here. Today we're going to talk about it. I put it in the doc really quickly, in the drive time doc. On the bottom, I put down show topics for today. And the question, we're going to ask a question. A watcher of the show said, Pasta, maybe you should pose a question. If you pose a question, and that's the question of the day, and I think we talked about it, right? We should get the Pee Wee Herman when we say the question of the day. Did you write that down in your notes?
I did somewhere.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have it in my notes. I just need to go through my notes.
Is it fair to place all blame on Donald Trump for the Iran debacle?
Nah, man. They've been trying to bomb Iran for how long? Wesley Clark, he was talking about it how long ago? They were the 7th country we wanted to fucking take.
There you go. And I put that down. And here's the next question. The other question I wrote down, which is a follow-up question to this question, is this. Here. Doesn't the system, both Republican and Democrat, share equal blame for America's imperialistic behavior towards Iran?
Yes.
Right? I mean, yes. Okay, why? You want to take a crack at it, or you want me to go at it?
You go at it. You're more articulate than I am.
Right? The first CIA coup happened to be Mossadegh, who was the secular. He's kind of like a socialist leader. He wanted to nationalize a lot of the oil. Probably not all of it, but a decent amount of it. I mean, that's what they tell you. They want to nationalize all the oil. No, they probably want to take a decent chunk of it, and probably some that was already in play and corporately owned, if they were paying their taxes or whatever the case they may be. They would probably say, all right, leave it in play, because that's what I believe his name is Allende wanted to do in Guatemala for the banana. He didn't even want to take all the bananas. he wanted to take a decent amount of it. And what is wrong for taking the natural resource of your country? Gabrielle, pay attention to this part right now, because this is going to explain why we have so many undocumented workers and immigrants there. So just like Mossadegh in the 50s, he wants to nationalize a decent amount of his oil, right? Eisenhower, who's the president now, Eisenhower is known as, right, a general. He was part of that mentality of World War II of never again, Sleepy, right? And he's also known for his farewell speech, where he is essentially warning the people out there, hey, we have a military industrial complex, which is going to push war, propagate war, cause phony wars just so they can have a profitable business, right? So that's why I say all the time, this isn't just about the Greater Israel Project. The Greater Israel Project, the war machine that's going to supply it, how much money they can make, they're like, sure, go along. We'll support you. We're for Israel. They're our only ally in the Middle East. For crying out loud, people want them dead just because they're Jewish. We got to save them by bombing women and children and funding the opposition. Iran, what's going on now? 1950, Mossadegh wins the presidency. All of a sudden, the United States starts funding the opposition, starts funding color revolution style activities in the streets. Chaos erupts in the country. Mossadegh steps down. The United States and Great Britain, the Brits, they then put in the Shah, the monarchy of Iran, who is their puppet and says, hey, you know, BP, now that I'm the president or the prime minister or whatever you want to call me, the leader of this motherfucking place, Chatori, which is Persian for what's going on, BP can have the oil. British Petroleum, they can have the oil, and I'm not going to now nationalize my oil, leading to Civil War style activities in the streets, people very upset. I forgot the name of the Iran. The Shah had a private force, you know, like their version of the Mossad. I forgot what it's called. Please,
I forgot what they're called. I forgot what they're called, but they were
somebody
like they killed so many people, man.
Oh my God! And then there was this is what led to the theocrats. And some people say extremists, whatever, theocrats. I don't like theocrats running shit. Not that I blame the Shah. I mean, not that I blame the Ayatollah Khomeini. Not that I don't believe that the people, if that's what they want, they should have. But the reason they want that is because we put in the fanatics, the puppets. So now there's an uprising. And now there's tension. And the theocrats come into play. And things are bad. And tension between Israel is taking place. We have the United States during George W. Bush shooting down an airliner. Before that, the CIA supporting the Iran-Contra scandal, where the CIA is supporting the opposition in Nicaragua and the opposition in Iran. It's a government within a fucking government. All these things happening for years. And that was, you know, Eisenhower, who was considered, once again, going back to him, a guy who didn't want to have war anymore. He had saw the craziness of World War II and the death and destruction, didn't want anymore. Well, he talked about the military-industrial complex because the CIA played him. They played him in Latin America and got him to go along with phony wars. They played him in the Middle East or West Asia with Iran. Okay, so he knew. But this is why, and we did this in Chile, right? 1973, the real 9/11. Well, you know, we did it in Guatemala. Right? We do this all the time. We don't like the government there. We overthrow them. We're doing it now. We're blowing up boats in the Caribbean. We're putting in governments. Our fingers are, now they're blaming Israel, but it's the United States too as well. Once again, fucking around with these goddamn elections in Latin America, stealing their resources, making sure they're very destabilized. That's the game, right? If you keep that country destabilized, you can extract the resources for pennies on the dollar. Where's our boy from Melbourne? Tell them what they're doing in fucking Haiti to get that iridium for whatever reasons. This is the game, and this is why so many people show up on the shores of other country. Gaddafi told the world, hey, you fucking take me out. Forget about it. The fucking goddamn, the whatchamacallit's going to be crazy. The migration's going to be crazy. I'm going to call our guest. Where is she? Sleepy, speak a little bit for me really quick.
Hello, everybody. I had to unmute, man.
Piggyback on why there's so much migration because all this shit going on.
We bomb we keep bombing the shit out of everyone. You make it so people have a hard time living their lives and working. They're gonna leave. I mean, that's human nature. We're migratory like that. If we can't eat, we leave. So and they're. I don't know. I don't see us stopping this shit ever. So it's sad.
Usually she's here by now. We'll see.
I mean, fuck. The only thing we make in this country is goddamn stuff for war. That's it. We don't make shit here anymore.
She's coming, I think. I don't know. She forgot. It's Wednesday. Get up, sleepyhead. Let's see if she's coming. If not, I'm going to have to hold it down. Guys, remember, we can pick up the phone, 561-247-2721. Doesn't the system, both Republican and Democrat, share equal blame for America's imperialistic behavior towards Iran? You can go with the first question I put up there. I mean, with the United States, is it fair to place all the blame on Donald Trump for the Iran debacle? Because that's what we see going out there. They got that guy, Walter Masterson, right? Right now, it's a big push. Even Hakeem Jeffries, his language. You can see the Democrats getting to get right back into play. If you don't believe that this shit is scripted, people, you need to wake the fuck up. The social engineers know that when you play the bad guy, right? When you push a bad guy, a heel in wrestling, and people are booing him, the guy who takes him on is going to be praised and cheered on, right? If this asshole's in the ring and he's telling the crowd how stupid they are, and he's the evil guy, he's in a stadium, he gets booed, whoever the music played for and comes out to fight that guy is usually going to be the hero, and the whole stadium's going to erupt and go nuts. What's up, Deep Green VO? Yep, if you pillage a nation of its resources and continue that type of gangsterism in the country, and that's a great word, Deep Green, because it is fucking gangsterism. We literally fund gangs, oppositions. You stabilize the country and cause migration and cause a migration crisis. Forced deportation won't solve the crisis. Thank you. And also is not allowing them in when you're responsible for them showing up at your fucking doorstep. So you can see the Democrats, Sleepy, getting ready to come back and get their play. They're going to, like I said, the heels in the ring. Everybody's booing him. It's Donald Trump. You suck. They're throwing cans and whatnot. And he's laughing at them. And he's making stupid move after stupid move so that the next guy who comes out against him, you start cheering. You don't give a fuck what he stands about.
He is a WWE guy. So
what he stands for? My mom's screaming. She's so cute. She hears me. You don't know what he stands for? You don't know what he's all about. You don't care. All you know is that he's there to fight that guy. And that's what they're going to do. Blaming Donald Trump for the Iran debacle as if Barack Obama didn't have sanctions on Iran. Never lifted sanctions, right? They signed, I think it was a JP COA or OCA, whatever it is, the fucking bullshit thing, right? They still had sanctions on the banking system in Iran. They still couldn't get involved. I believe they were shut out of SWIFT. They still had oil sanctions on Iran. They still had to kind of sneak around and sell the oil because they couldn't be dealing with other people that were friends of the United States because they wanted to do business with them. But if those people got caught doing business with Iran, then the United States would say, no, sanctions are an act of war, right? They're acting as if Obama didn't do these things to satisfy Israel's wants and needs, right? So they want to just make it all about, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, this, Donald Trump, this, that. It's all Donald Trump.
Gotta have a scapegoat.
He's the scapegoat. And I don't want to take away from the fact that, yes, he is the president right now while this shit is going on. And if we're going to hold everybody accountable, including the guy on top or the guy that they pretend is at top, right? Because we want to hold true to the marketing that we someday want a representative of the people, not of the fucking Epstein class, we then fucking got to hold Donald Trump accountable. Ladies and gentlemen, she's up. She's had hopefully a sip of coffee.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah.
We don't know. She's here. Colonel, where were you?
Well, I totally forgot. I can tell you that.
Hey, happens.
You know what it was is Judge Knapp has a 2-week break,
I
and
know.
so in my mind, and then we turned into July. So my July calendar, I keep a manual calendar, and I forgot to write down all my Wednesday mornings. So anyway, my fault. I'm sorry, but
Well,
I got in.
Don't miss Kyle Anzalone show because that's what you have Kyle Anzalone today. Just
He's on the calendar.
There.
He's on the calendar, but
all right, thank you.
So I'm fixing that right now, and I'm sorry. But
no, don't apologize. We were able to hold it down. I was very excited. You know, some shows the night before I'll be at the computer thinking about what to say and what to talk about, what not. I mean, the thing is, I don't try to make this show too scripted because if I try to put too much into it, the callers call in, they talk about something, and I don't even go there. So I try to stay open-minded, but I do get to steer the direction. And we were talking a little bit about the World Cup in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
The way they robbed Egypt. And by the way, and that was the thing. I went over, I'm like, what the hell is this crap that Judge No Karen on Tuesday? I don't get Uncle Ray and Uncle Larry on Monday. Well, Larry Wilkerson is Uncle Larry. I'm sorry. Larry Johnson. And I don't get any of this. I mean, what am I going to watch? There's nothing to watch. I was like, you know what? This is a good time to catch up on the Kyle Anzalone show, you know? So I put on his show. And I wish the judge should have reached out to, he should have kept his show going. Nobody can replace him. But with the way the algorithms work in this whole thing, I hope it doesn't affect him taking off 2 weeks.
No, it's
the
true.
System is right now, it's the government and those in charge will want to use any excuse to censor that show as much as they can right now. So I wish you would have reached out to me or Kyle and let us kind of fill in the space. At least keep his show active a little bit, so they won't fuck him because they're going to try to fuck him. Karen, sorry, I don't mean to hurt.
No, it's true. And also, like, you know, there is the FIFA stuff, and the Trump got involved in that red card for the U.S. guy. That's so stupid. I started to write something on it, and all I got was I wrote a bunch of stuff. It wasn't about soccer, but the title was Enfant Terrible and Infantino, because they're the two guys, you know, because the FIFA guy is so far up. I mean, I'm sorry, the head of FIFA just loves Trump, and I don't know why. I don't know why he, you know, there's so much that you don't you know, it's hard to understand. But
money. It's all money.
I guess it is.
They get the big bucks here. Yeah, they get the big bucks.
It probably is.
They get the big bucks. It's these people are bought off. There's no integrity. There's no integrity in sports. Those who are controlling it. If we get into the NBA, which I just had this amazing New York Knicks run, and I loved it because it's a character team, but there's a serious Zionist entity involved in basketball and the NBA, and it's kind of disgusting at times.
Oh, wow.
I found a small channel called Colonel's Corner, a retired female colonel in Tennessee. She talks about previous incidents we've been lied to about. I wonder if Karen knows this lady. Do you know who that lady is?
I don't. But I'm going to look it up.
Reach out to her and give her the phone number here. Tell her to call in on Wednesdays.
I will. Absolutely. Yeah. That sounds good.
So yesterday, FIFA, in the World Cup, they took away a goal from Egypt, and it was quite disgusting. It was definitely the goal of the tournament. I think it was just a beautiful play, you know. But in basketball and in soccer, referees are going to miss some calls, right? It just happens. It's part of the game. They went back about 2 minutes after a goal to a penalty, a foul, and took away the goal. It was disgusting. And there's an argument, there's a conspiracy theory argument out there that since Lionel Messi, who's considered one of the best players in the world, if not the best, the argument has always been him or Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ronaldo's now 41 and Messi's still scoring. They consider him one of the best, but he's also been to Israel, kissed the wall, and they say that they're cheating the tournament for him, right?
Oh,
and
wow, interesting.
The red card. I mean, once again, that was not a red. It shouldn't have been a red card. But during the World Cup, if somebody was given a red or yellow card, it would stick. They rescinded it for the home team this time. I don't like that at all, and I was rooting for the United States.
The U.S. lost, though. They lost their next
4-1.
They like crap.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it's you don't change it. But you know, Trump is a guy who's well known for the mulligan, right? Trump is a golf cheater. So, and golf is one of those games where they do allow cheating. I mean, a mulligan in formal play is a common thing, you know. And actually, I looked it up. And there's actually, and this is weird, and I don't know any of the history of the golf. Golf, I guess, is Scottish, but or it originated in Scotland. I don't even know that for sure. But they've got, from Mulligan, you've also got there's a Finnegan, there's a Brannigan, there's a whole series of them, and I guess it's all Irish names, and each one is the restart that you get. And I think, and Trump likes golf, and he's well known for not just taking mulligans, but cheating at golf also, which is apparently pretty common.
I'm gonna move the ball a little bit to better grass. I don't want to kill the lizard there and stuff. We have Let's jump into the caller. There's some shenanigans going on in the White House too, as well. That's another Irish word that can best describe Donald Trump. Yeah. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
My name is Kevin, and I'm calling from Rockaway.
Where have you been, Kevin? Our professor is here. One of our two professors chimed in. How you doing, Kev?
Good, man. Good. I missed the game last night, but I had, people were texting me about, like what's going on, and with Egypt and, there's a thing with soccer. I think that, or football, as they call it in Europe,
football,
and the rest of the world, and this is a personal thing, like there's contact sports like hockey and football and or whatever, and the problem with the soccer and I've been watching a lot of the games, I've of course been rooting for the US and like every play is like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, where they're storming the beach and somebody makes contact and the guy's rolling around in agony, like his guts just got cut out of him or shot out of him. And then as soon as they, call, he's up again, like he's not leaving on a stretcher. He's not getting helped off the field by his. And I mean, there are flaws and contradictions in every sport, but I can't see that's a big reason. Like people always say, commercials. So now they got these hydration breaks, which are commercials basically. But like why it won't take off in America, and I think this is why it's like you can't. I actually agreed with Trump when he was like, "Now you got two professional athletes colliding with each other. Like, this is what happens. But when these guys like these alpha males kind of roll around on the ground and it's I don't know. It just doesn't sit right.
Well, can I say something?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Number one. Soccer's a little bit different because the athlete's different today, right? It's a more kids training since they're 6 years old. The athlete itself is definitely a little bit different than it was back in the days. I'm not saying that we didn't have great athletes in the past, but nowadays it's like machines since they're children, and they're going full force, right? Like I think the whole mentality is that you don't want to go in full strength. You don't want to run so fast and leave yourself in a position where you can be wild, and just clip somebody and hurt somebody, whatnot. So I think when they make calls in soccer, they're trying to make it more, all right, you have to get in position to get the ball rather than steamroll the guy and hit everybody with cleats. So I do think that it's just the machinery out on the field is a little bit more powerful, right? So I think about that. However, there is this aspect that there's a drama part of it in soccer where if you get clipped just a little bit, you fall down where you might have stood up, because then you're going to get that you're going to maintain possession, and every single possession counts in these games. So I think the game is a little bit different. I don't want to take away from it, but it is like our fourth sport. You don't know many kids who play. I don't even know many kids. I've never seen the soccer team in my school, Spanish River. Everybody was either playing football, basketball, or baseball. You know what I'm saying? No hockey in both.
Sport.
But
Kevin.
All right, well, go ahead.
It's a girl sport.
Yeah. Let Carrie go in.
I have a different I have a different take, and it's what Craig said about the rules and the refs and the referees. You got two side refs and a center ref, and they can't see everything. And I think a lot of it has to do with soccer's a game of rules, and the rules have to be followed. And there's a lot of violence in soccer, just like there's in every single. I can't think of a single sport, even the shot put. I mean, there's violence there. Okay, this is force, mass acceleration, all that. So I think they want, if they think a rule has been violated, and there are many rules in soccer, including indecipherable ones like offsides. Okay, and these rules, when they are violated, they have to be called. And I think that's part of why they do it. It is, yes, the sport itself has gotten stronger, faster, especially the way men play. It's very, it does turn into a contact sport, and it's not supposed to be a contact sport. So my sense of it is the reason, and I agree with you, soccer's not going to take off in this country, and that's because it is a game of rules. That rules have to be followed. And football is a game of force. And I'll tell you what you made me think of, your call, which is something I hadn't thought of in a while, but I periodically return to it. And that is George Carlin's stand-up routine, where he talks about the difference between football and baseball. And have you ever heard that one? Have you heard it?
Going home.
It's a great skit.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But he correlates it to the way we do business in this country, and also our foreign policy. And when you look at Trump changing rules because they're inconvenient, the red card postponement, that's one thing. But his history of soccer, not soccer, golf, and that's another thing, and that's fine because I think that he puts him in the majority of golf players, but not professional ones, but regular ones. But also how he does foreign policy. He plays foreign policy like he plays soccer. We don't need that rule; doesn't apply to us. We can postpone the impact of that rule. Let's just hit him hard, destroy him. A game of rules is not for Trump. Trump is a rule breaker. And you see that throughout both his recreational life, his social life, with, I would say, all of his multiple divorces, which were caused pretty much by him, his actions.
He was even cheating in that too.
There you go. Well, yeah. You can
say asked for how many mulligans now? 3, 2 or 3?
Yeah. But I'm not faulting him. He can do what he wants to do. He can do, maybe he fell in love. I don't know. But the point is, the rules were not for Mr. Trump. The rules are for other people. Mr. Trump does what he wants, and his foreign policy and all these wars that he's gotten us into. And right on the day of the day before the burial, that was, I guess, yesterday. So we'd already had all the people in Tehran for the Ayatollah, for Khamenei. Millions, 10, 11 million people in Tehran, which is unheard of. That's 1/10 of the whole country and the capital city, to say their farewells, which have been postponed because of the war. And what does Trump do? Trump does the most horrendous of the post-MOU bombing, and they have broken the MOU permanently. I think at this point, there's no MOU. War has returned to Iran because Trump is unhappy because you know what he said about those crowds? He said, "Oh, those look like the crowds I brought out when I was running for president, and they look nothing like the crowds he brought out." But it doesn't matter. He's jealous, and rules are for other people. He's mad. He's a 4-year-old, and he's going to strike out. So, yeah.
Let's talk about this. I'm glad we have the professor on the phone. I'm glad we have the professor on the phone because we didn't even get started on this. I have the question up there, and I think it's going to be. I'm gonna do something a little bit unusual since the professor's on the phone. I'm going to pose the question to him first. Kevin from Rockaway calls into the WBAI show on Wednesdays. He's a constant participant over there. Now, we have some differences, I would say. We mostly 90% of the things we agree on, kind of like me and you do, is you're a libertarian, whatever views, and mine too as well. But whatever the case may be, there are some areas in which we disagree. I don't want to cast an aspersion on him to say that he believes that the Democrats are the lesser of two evils. I was one of those people, right? Like when I realized when stuff was going on, I voted for Obama the second time because I believed the Democrats were the lesser of two evils. But I would say ideologically wise, we probably would lean more, if we had to pick between the two, we would probably lean more towards the Democrats, where I believe that Kevin is a collectivist of sorts too as well. Like, we would both go and say, okay, Medicare for all, there's some issues with it. We have a sick care system, but we'll take that rather than not take that. We would rather see a shitty system where some people get insulin and aren't going to fucking die rather than the system we have right now. So ideologically, we would probably line up a little bit more with the Democrats. I see the Democrats getting ready and blaming Donald Trump for this whole fucking thing, right? And their attitude is like, well, Iran is now taking complete advantage of the situation because Donald Trump went way overboard, right? You know, you see Hakeem Jeffries. This was a war of choice. Yeah, they were for this war. Their donors, Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, Chuck Schumer, very much in line with AIPAC and those donors, and very much wanted this war. Even Elizabeth Warren stood up and applauded at the State of the Union, whatnot. They're getting ready to come back into play, and seeing some of the Trump supporters that are still holding on, saying, Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. Never said that fucking before. Now that was part of the thing. He was the peace candidate. He was going to end wars. But now you're saying that, okay? And they're also saying that Iran is in this position because Obama buckled with the JPCOA or OCA. I get them fucking mixed up, whatever it is. I should get that straight. I should write it down so I look halfway.
JCPOA.
JCPOA, that he gave Iran a bunch of money. And now we're in this position right now because he let the cat out of the bag. Kevin, the professor, I give you the question. Is it fair to place all the blame on Donald Trump, or most of it, for the Iran debacle? Because we are at war with them now. Shit had just popped off yesterday. I don't know if you saw. United States is back to bombing civilian infrastructure, war crimes out there, a situation with the Strait of Hormuz. Is it fair to place all the blame, or most of the blame, on Donald Trump for this Iran debacle?
Most. I mean, look, you see, we have all this, we have all this, we can parse, and we can, you know, like, let's just say, like, the DSA, right? They just decided, like, if you watch Newsmax, or I don't really watch Fox that much anymore, because Newsmax makes me laugh much harder. But, and they also have better guests, by the way. But the thing is that when you say democratic socialist, okay, like, first of all, it's longer to say, and Republicans tend to punch for emotion. They go for the gut level. They go for your emotion, which most people vote on. Whereas Democrats traditionally will try to appeal to reason. Okay, and that's not true anymore. But no, I mean, look. The thing is that if you watch these stations now, like, he's not calling, like, Mamdani and AOC and all these villains democratic. So he's calling them communists. Communists. So what do you think when you hear communists? You think Stalin, you think Mao, you think Pol Pot, you think all these things. Like these horrible dictators and stuff like that. But we haven't figured out a way to discuss the levels of capitalist government, and like, even saying libertarian, it's a very, to me, it's a very ambiguous term, because what does that mean? Like, does that mean you don't want, like, back in the 1880s and 1840s in New York City, where if you didn't have a plaque on your building that said that you paid for the local fire department, they'd let the building next door burn, and they would just watch you, like, what does that mean? Like, you just want to get rid of, like, we don't have that vocabulary. Are you following?
I'm
Or
following.
do I
Kind
need
of.
to expand? Yeah, it's like, we just big government is bad. Big government is bad. I mean, I'm 58 years old. I mean, I grew up on the shore, man. I mean, when I was a kid, the only dolphins and turtles you saw were dead, washed up on the street, washed up on the shore. Now you see them thriving, and dolphins, by the way, as you probably know, in Florida, they shun dirty water, so they won't come. Like I see whales breaching, from my window, and that's all due to the EPA and things like that. I mean, people
Okay.
like Ralph
Okay.
Nader.
You're going too far now.
Wait a second, Kev.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Wait, I'm going to let you jump in, Karen, but just to make sure, you're insisting that it's Democratic policies that have brought back the marine wildlife, the turtles and the dolphins, and
No,
is
I'm saying
that what
Ralph.
you're
I was
alluding to? I
gonna
want to
say
make sure
Ralph
I'm,
Nader.
huh?
I was going to say Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader was
Oh, well,
the
I'll give
one.
you Ralph Nader for sure. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
I've been
yeah.
you think Pasta, you think you've been duped, and bro, I've been voting since 1988.
Yeah.
I voted for Ralph Nader the first time in 1996, and I voted for him up until 2008. And let's put it this way: I've never picked a winner. You know what I mean? But
in regards to the question, though, are you making a case that the Democrats are the lesser of two evil and better for the situation in Iran than what we're dealing with Donald Trump today?
okay,
Is that the
Iran
point you're trying to make? Because
specifically, no.
I want the Colonel to respond properly.
Iran specifically, no, because the Democrats just don't have. There's a dearth of information between the lobbyists and this and that, but no, I don't see a difference. In foreign policy, there is no difference whatsoever. In domestic policy, there's a dime's worth of difference.
Yeah. All right. Let's get the Colonel in there to respond on that too as well. And Colonel, you can. I'm glad that Kevin pointed out at the very end of his statement that in foreign policy there is no difference. There is not a lick of difference, and I agree with him. Because I believe they both passed the shit line, Republicans and Democrats. Obama was just awful in his foreign policy, but I'll let you jump in because I do believe it's both. I believe the system itself is to blame. The imperialistic system, which has both Democrat and Republican captured, that is the problem here. Go ahead, Colonel.
Yeah, no. I mean, it is both parties. It's the system. That's for sure. And also, I want to correct the caller on one thing. You did not vote for losers. When you voted for Ralph Nader, when I voted for Ron Paul, we didn't vote for losers. Those folks had the right idea. So forget
Ross Perot was my first vote. Did I vote for a winner?
Yeah, yes, you did. Ross Perot. Ross Perot was a guy who was a legit America First guy, even though, sure, he made his money in the wars overseas. He was a military contractor. That's where a lot of his money came from. But he funded his campaign, and he woke up. He was kind of like an Eisenhower at the end of Eisenhower's reign, telling us we should be a little concerned about who's making our policy. Mm-hmm. And Eisenhower would agree also with the caller, of course, with the professor here, because Eisenhower also said, he didn't say it was Republicans or Democrats. He said we have a system of interested elite military industrial complex folks who are connected to each other and connected to politics, and they have an agenda, and their agenda is what gets passed if we don't, as citizens, wake up and do something about it. And I'm sorry for laughing about your EPA, but I would say that activists in the world, but particularly in the West, particularly in the United States, environmental activists, such as, for example, the lady who wrote Silent Spring, Rachel Carson. And, scientifically, there are people on both parties, particularly than the right, though. They say, oh, well, her DDT, her story about the dangers of pesticides, destroying the complex system of nature. Oh, that was just made up. Well, it wasn't made up. It wasn't made up. And she wrote but what was the power of Rachel Carson and also Nader and Ron Paul and everybody else is they had a way of communicating an idea so that it stuck in people's hearts and changed their behavior. And I'll tell you, people have brought the dolphins back. People have done this. And I hate to bring it to foreign policy again, but there was an orange house in Lebanon, well known, and it housed the turtle expert, pretty much of the Mediterranean. She saved turtles off the coast of Lebanon in the Mediterranean Sea. Had turtle. She was a scientist and a environmentalist, and she lived in this bright orange house, and people would come to see the turtles. She was a well-known scientist on these things, had no interest in war, was doing nothing to do with war, lived on donations to take care of these turtles, and she had brought turtles back. One person, one civilian, with no help other than the people that chose to help her, not the EPA, not the government, and Israel bombed her house and killed her. Okay, so this is why I'm against the state. The state is against life. Life is supported by all kinds of people. And the EPA as an organization, I don't know if you've heard of course you have, Superfund, right? The Superfund was to clean up places. If one look at how Superfund allocates money, how slow they work, how poorly they work, how dangerously they do their assigned task and mismanage the money that has been put into their billions and billions of dollars into Superfund, you can say, well, wait a minute, but the EPA does good things. No, it doesn't. It's a government agency, and all of the good is sucked up and swallowed by the bad.
Let me jump in. I want to jump in, Karen, because I'm going to have to defend my friend here, the professor, right? Because
it's my opinion.
I just want to stay here with it because I know we can. We all have so many great things to say that we can take a conversation and hit so many things. You go back and watch these episodes, you learn so much. It's great. That's what I love about Kyle's show, and I can't wait for you to be on it today. But getting back, I digress to what we're talking about, the EPA. The EPA is a good idea. It is a governmental captured entity, and I understand that the libertarian mindset is that the state will always corrupt, right? Like that's why volunteerist of sorts and things that are volunteered into rather than things are pushed and paid for by the state are so much better. And yes, in theory, that could be true. But this is where I say that we are all one species on one planet. We got to have to find a way to play nicely in the sandbox. If we're children that get out of hand and we can't play too nicely too much, we have to find areas in which we will come across each other in that sandbox. The EPA, even though it is a captured entity, is a good idea. And this is why I'm an election integrity activist first of everything, Colonel, because I believe if we have the power to rightly hire and fire people at will, and that's not cheated, we can get the right people in to do the job. Just if it was a business, as Chase Oliver would say, free market forces. Yeah, but we can hire somebody. We can do the business of government by the people, the marketing and whatnot, if we had a system that allows us to do that. Now, I think we have to come together and say, how do we make sure that these systems don't overreach, they don't do too much, yada, yada, yada. Yep. But I'm going to let the professor jump in real quick, unless you want to respond to that. The EPA is still a good idea. Why shouldn't we have national discussions on what's best for our water, our air, our plants? We're not having the real discussions because we're not talking about the fucking geoengineering that's going on left and right. That the military has been dropping aluminum and barium, killing our vitamin D, and fucking using the weather as a weapon for fucking years. They've been doing it, and we're not talking about that. So what I'm saying is, if we had a real EPA, we'd have real discussions.
And the EPA would be all over the other part of government that was doing that. And they would say, you can't do that. They tell you to be in the Supreme Court. Cancel it. Stop it. This is wrong. Yeah, I love it. I agree. It's just I always put the real power of ideas to people and individuals and people doing, the things that they love and volunteerism, as you say. But yeah, I mean, and I was watching just a brief video about it was a mysterious places, and there was a nuclear base, some common up in Britain, and they did it before the internet. And so a chain letter, remember chain letters? I'm old enough to remember. I got chain letters in college about different activists, things to do. Anyway, they put a chain letter out to mothers in all throughout Britain, and they said, come to this base. This is when it first started, at a certain day and time, and we are going to protest the nuclear weapons. So for some reason it caught on, and literally thousands of women, and it was just for women, thousands of women came to this base, and they camped out. And I remember it being in the news because it was in the late 70s, and protesting the nuclear stuff. And anyway, they camped. And so somebody was, as they were camping, looking for what's out here, they found a tunnel, not a tunnel, it was like a sewage vent, but a big water vent. And they came through, they came in, they occupied one of the buildings for 5 hours before they were even discovered. Then they were discovered, they couldn't get rid of them. And it became a huge thing. Anyway, that base closed. It didn't close right away, but it closed. It was one of the first ones to close. And it's now it is state property for the Brits, and I think they have parks there and some other things. But anyway, that's people. That's people doing shit. And if you want to get something done, people themselves have to do it. And yes, back to the question of the empire, Republicans and Democrats are both invested in empire. They value empire. They're bribed by empire. They're controlled particularly by AIPAC, which is a mini empire of its own, which I'm sorry to say has its eyes on Washington, has for some time, not as a friend and an ally and a supporter, but as the next empire. So, the Israeli empire,
military industrial complex, big oil.
Yeah,
big
they want
pharma. They're in there calling the shots too as well.
They
I believe
really
it's more
are.
than just AIPAC, but
They really are. No, it's beyond AIPAC. AIPAC is just one small
it's the empire.
tentacle.
It's the Smedley Butler empire, business of empire.
Yep.
Professor Kevin, let's give you the final word. Thanks for getting up early today and doing the call with us over here. There's a lot to talk about. The MOU is done. The bombing started back up. And just watching Donald Trump speak. And I'll tell you this much, Kev. I was, for a while, I was like, oh, my God, Joe Biden is just a zombie walking. And it was kind of like, all right, at least this president's going to look at the press. He might say something stupid, but he'll talk to them. Now, every time I hear Donald Trump open up his mouth, I'm like, dude, will you just shut the fuck up already? Just shut the hell. I don't want to hear this dude speak anymore. Sure. He is so beyond full of shit. I mean, it's just hearing him speak about the MOU and the disgusting genocidal. And there's a problem here.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit.
Yes. Thank you, my cousin Vinny. The people in the United States are conditioned and propagandized and ready for war. It's like I said, we're here on a Wednesday. I'm talking about going out with my friend for half bottle on Wednesday today. And meanwhile, bombs are being dropped on civilian infrastructure in Iran. And bombs are being dropped on villages in Lebanon. And Gazans and kids in tents are being wiped out. And the United States is just going along like, oh, that sucked in that soccer game. Kev, I'll give you the last final word today.
Yeah, please. I want to cover a couple of things.
Please do.
Okay. One thing, imagine a world where there was no EPA. Imagine a world where there was no FISA. Imagine a world where there was no Freedom of Information Act. Imagine a world where basically everything we fought for, okay? And this wasn't just some like hippie on in a commune somewhere. These were people who were working class people, of course, guided by academics, I'm sure, but because you got to know how to write these letters and lawyers and stuff like that. But it would be much, much worse. Now, I worked in the jails. I was a correction officer for my career, and it was a horror show. And my mantra was I'm responsible for the effort, not the outcome, because what I wanted to do was, when I left the housing area, leave it in a better place than I found it, okay? which is a very, very difficult job on Rikers. Trust me. Okay. Now, you, the other things, as far as, what were we talking about?
Can we talk about that
So-
real quick, though? I know you write it down real quickly, just jot it down. But I do want to make a statement because I think it's important what you just said, that we stay there, because that's a Democratic Party kind of like psyop of sorts when they say we're responsible for the action, not the outcome, right? And if we don't do these things, what would the world be like if we, right? The effort, not the outcome, right? No, we're responsible for the outcome. We have to give effort until we get the outcome we want. And the thing that you're saying right now to me, that where I disagree, is that it would have been so much better. No, we've set up all these things, and we don't make sure that those who are accountable are held accountable. We're asleep at the wheel. We're not involved with lawmaking and government the way we should. All these people that were watching the soccer game and stuff that know where these kids went to college, know where they played their high school ball, but don't know their local representative. That's the problem in itself. To hold, to have true freedom and democracy and the will of the people to be acted out. I'm so sorry, and I don't want to make fun of my parents and their parents, but they let a lot of stupid people have money, or low-informed, non-educated people have money, have assets. They gave them things so they didn't pay attention to what was going on, how they were being screwed. George Carlin said it plain and simple. And I'm trying to say this in a nice way without ragging on, because they love to tell about the stories of World War II, how these people sacrificed so much. And yeah, I get it. But what about them being asleep at the fucking wheel while government was making itself bigger, greedier, taking more and more, so now their children can't even live the same quality lifestyle that they lived. In other words, we're in a position now in the United States where the next generation is actually moving the wrong way, moving backwards.
Wait,
and I know more than assets and stuff that should measure stuff, but comfortability. We don't get to sleep properly without worrying about how to pay the bills and put food on the table. So when you say that we're responsible for the effort and things are so much better than they would have been, I disagree. We've let so much happen without holding those accountable, without grabbing our fucking pitchforks and say, no more, asshole. Instead, we've been tricked into playing team sports and saying, well, it's better than the other guy. I don't agree with you, Kevin.
Are you suggesting that the New Deal was a bad
They
policy?
gave us just enough to make sure that we didn't eat them, and then they went right back to fucking thieving. The letter that FDR wrote to his brother saying, hey, or his brother wrote to him, I don't know which one, we better give these people some shit or they're going to fucking eat us. The Communism Party was so big and strong back there, not because it was people wanted to just, have authoritarian rule. It's they were standing for workers' rights. We got away from that.
They were standing for something. They weren't big. They weren't big. They were smashed in the 1920s. They were smashed. And they were standing up for what was right for the working class. And that's why they had to make them take oaths and kick them out of the unions. And then the mafia took over the unions because there was a void. And the mafia you can deal with because the mafia is about business, just like the United States. Now, we do disagree on that. And I'm going to tell you something. All these agencies and commissions that I mentioned, they're appointed. Okay, so you look at just watch the Big Short or the Wolf of Wall Street.
Nobody went to jail.
Like that.
Nobody went to jail.
You see, the SEC guys are just basically what they're doing is they're just biding their time for when they retire, and then they're going to make their big money showing the big companies how they work. So you've got to, we do have a responsibility, but we have a responsibility to appoint the right people. But in this kleptocracy, of capitalist government that we have, you will never get that, because everybody's looking out for number one, and number one means me and not you. You know, and I don't want to keep you forever. I would just like to say, in professional ice hockey, I'm a big New York Rangers fan. Now, if you trip somebody, all right, you trip somebody, you stick your stick in between their legs, whatever, and they go flying. Now, that's a penalty. However, if the person who's getting tripped embellishes or dives and rolls around on the floor like he's dying, and then pops up 2 seconds later once the penalty is called, they get a penalty as well. That's called I can't remember the name of the penalty, but it's also a penalty. Okay, so it's a wash. So it becomes a wash. You committed the penalty, yeah, but you embellished the penalty to a point where it's ridiculous, And I think that it's the same thing with the government. Like we're trying to say, like, okay, the EPA is terrible. Well, look who the parties have been appointing. Look who they've been appointing to run these government agencies. It's all a pay for play.
Yeah,
it's pay to play.
Kev, we're gonna let you go so we can get. Kev, we're gonna let you go so we can get somebody else on the other line if anybody's trying to call through. I hope to hear from you later on today. I'm gonna let the Colonel respond, so still listen in the background. But thanks for calling, my brother. I love you, and I look forward to getting to New York so we can have a couple slices of pie together somewhere good. We'll do pizza wars or something. But I love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Without a doubt, bro. Without a doubt. And thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Go Islanders. Colonel, I'll let you respond.
Don't go Islanders.
Yeah.
Hang up, you psycho.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is the penalty for over dramatizing the original foul. That's something. But
they do that in soccer, right? The yellow card if you fake it,
Yeah, they should have something. I don't know. But the appointments, he says we've got the wrong people appointed. We did see a little tiny point of light, but also the full breadth of the failures when we got RFK Jr. into the Trump White House, and it's just this only been there for a year and a half. And who knows if he'll stay for the full term. And he certainly had his wings clipped a little bit on some of the things he wanted to do. But I will say that if you could take everything that was good about the RFK appointment, basically he wanted to, take names and, count heads and take names. He had these things that he wanted to do that were popular. They were directly related, I think, to health. They were not. He's not looking for a job at Big Pharma. Big Pharma would never hire RFK Jr. ever. They probably want to get rid of him, but that would be an example of a good appointment. And yet the wings clipped. It wasn't just one wing got clipped. They got two wings clipped and they keep clipping.
He went in with a leash on, number one.
Yes, with the leash on.
Number two, I think he was compromised from at least the Zionist entity or whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely compromised.
Yeah.
Even with all that, he still managed to do a few good things. But if you think back to the real difference that RFK Jr. made, it's a lawyer, and he tells this story. He told this when he was running before or whatever, when he was on the campaign trail. He tells the story of the decade or more that he spent fighting the government, the U.S. government and the New York state government, EPA as well, suing them over the Hudson River contamination. Yeah. And so that river got cleaned up. That was a success story that RFK Jr. is proud to have been a part of, with his incessant suing and his research into what the government was doing. And so he had to sue the EPA to clean something up. And that's pretty much, if you want something cleaned up, you have to sue the EPA to do it. And that's just one example, but that's the EPA. Let's multiply to the other government agencies, most of which you cannot sue. You can't sue the Pentagon to do a better job with our money. They can't even find our money. They have no idea where the money went to. It's in somebody's pockets
You
already.
can kill people more cheaply, Pentagon.
Yes, do it better. Give us some of our money back. They go, we don't have any of your money. It's all gone. We can't find it. And this was, I don't know if you told me this or someone else I heard
Well, if it's
mention it.
something that sounds smart, I'll take credit for it. Before
Okay. Well, no, I mean, it was from one of the senators from Maine, the lady senator from Maine. I think
Susan Collins.
Yes, I think it was Susan Collins. And anyway, this was some years ago, not that long ago, but she had bumped up into the NDAA of that year, which wasn't that long ago, $12 billion to make another submarine or two. Because why? Because Maine has a submarine port. They benefit from that.
Bangor, Maine, or something. Yeah.
Sure. So she put this in, and then nothing happened. They got no subs. They got no nothing. So she called the Navy guy in, or he was in for something else, and she asked him a question. She said, hey, a couple years ago, I specifically lobbied and got authorized, because she's the king senator, because all senators can specifically authorize anything they want to do because they're all a bunch of kings. But anyway, she said, as queen of the Senate, I did this. I gave you $12 billion, Mr. Navy guy. Where's my money? Because I didn't see any submarines. And he goes, well, yeah, there's no submarines. So she said, where's my money? And she goes, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. We don't know where it is. 12 billion, drop in a bucket, wasted. This is the state. This is the state at work. And guess what? Everybody in the Pentagon, I worked in the Pentagon. I'm sure it's the same in all the government agencies. 90% of them are saying just what Rockaway's saying. Well, we've got to make sure we do our job as best we can. We're not responsible for the outcomes. And, this is what they want. And this is what we do. And as human beings, we're social creatures. Hey, did you have a good day at work today? Yeah, I pushed the paper as best I could. I did my best job. I was my best self in the office today, working for the federal government. And unfortunately, that's not the answer. The answer is, and I don't want to sound like a radical or a communist, but the alternative is you have to get out in the street. You really do for some of these things, and you have to stop supporting with your tax dollar. But don't worry. Fewer and fewer people can afford to pay taxes and nowadays. So pretty soon the whole system's that just print money. It'll be a coupon. We'll be a third world country, which I think they're trying to move us into. Except we'll be very surveilled. So if we complain, have you seen what they're doing with the flock cameras?
Oh, don't get me started. You're trying to get my blood boiling.
Well,
what happened?
No, not what the government's doing. What the people are doing.
What are they doing? They put bags on them
down, and they're putting little flags, whichever, not even like unified flags, just some replacement. They're pulling them down. They're shooting them with BB guns. They're doing different things all over the place. And the flock people are going nuts, and the government's going nuts. And they gave a guy, just you can read this on CNN or whatever, wherever the news, the local domestic propaganda news is, and they'll tell you that they just sentenced a guy to 18 years in prison for damaging a flock camera.
No.
18 years in prison. Oh, yes, they did. You can rape 20 women, you won't get 18 years in prison. Okay.
Let's get that information out there. I want to find out who that guy is. Try to find it. If you guys are in the chat there or watching, find out this person who got charged with the flock camera. Let's see his whole story.
He didn't. I mean, he was guilty. He did take out a flock camera. He might have taken out 2 or 3, but the sentencing was obscene. And it's the same category of sentencing as what they did not long ago for somebody got 100 years plus something else, or 99 years for something, and it had to do with offending ICE or something. It was something to do with some interface with the government. So anyway, they don't want us acting up. That's why they're doing these sentences that they're handing out are aimed not at rationality, not at justice. They're aimed at terrorizing us into submission. Yeah. And the answer is, of course, do not be terrified or into submission. We got to be smarter than the government. But seriously, the flock thing is huge because people hate them, and apparently it's worse than a normal camera, red light camera, where they take your car license plate and then you get a bill.
It's constant surveillance.
Yes.
There was somebody who was had an Instagram video. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to piggyback on what you're saying. And they went to her and they're like, listen, we knew you were in the town this day. We knew you left this day. It's like, and she's like, what are you guys like watching me?
Yes, they are.
Like, city police, we know everything that goes on. We know when you're here. We know when you're not. I'm like, and this guy's admitting this at the fucking door.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy.
what the fuck kind of dystopian world do we live in?
Yeah, well,
1984 is here.
1984 is here. That's right. And we have a lot of the human being and groups of human being people we have the brains. There's no AI that's ever going to duplicate our brains unless they give us all lobotomies and put AI in our brains. They cannot control our brains, even though that's the fear. They can't control the framework that we see things in. We have the ability to choose how we're going to view this stuff. And we're seeing people choose. Like you brought up the earthquakes and the U.S. governments involved. Well, not just our government, but mainly our government, but other governments too, looking at how can you influence the weather? We've been doing it for 40, 50 years. And this is documented. I mean, they testified before Congress. Yes, we did that. They were trying to figure out, can we cause a drought if we're trying to starve out our enemy? This is just modern technology at work. But also the issues of man-initiated or man-made earthquakes, they talk about in Venezuela. Yeah. So the HARP program. So, and people, for 30 or 40, 50, 60 years, people talk about these things and like, they had a tinfoil hat on, but in fact, it turns out the government now, well, yeah, actually, what you thought we were doing. Yeah, we were doing that. And then we were doing this other thing too, that you didn't know about. It's all connected. We're looking at this all in the name of national security. But it's really the national security that they talk about defending is DC security. It is, we need to protect the system that has us on top and all you bunch of dogs on the bottom. That system is what they're protecting. And the thing, people have power. They're very frightened of us. And I will say one thing, a little point of light, not so much in this country, although we have millions of them, lots of good signs of people pushing back, people waking up. But they did a survey. I just saw it earlier this week, a poll in Israel, because Israel, has elections coming up. They're going to vote for a new prime minister. They got the Netanyahu. They got the Naftali Bennett. Both of the pretty much the same, different personalities. And then they got this guy Eisenkot, who is a military guy who I don't even know if he speaks English. He probably speaks some, but he doesn't know Donald Trump. Two of them are in with Donald Trump. One's not. And Eisenkot is running a different kind of campaign, and depending on who coalesces with him, he may or may not win. Anyway, it's a three-way race, so it's a toss-up. Probably Netanyahu will probably win again in a three-way. But whatever, we don't know. However, those three parties emerge because there's a lot of churn and conversation going on in Israel that we don't read in our papers, okay? They're upset that they are fighting wars on all their fronts. They're upset that they're losing wars on all their fronts. They are upset that they did poorly with both times that the U.S. on behalf of Israel attacked Iran, both last summer and more recently. They have a lot of economic damage. When they go abroad, people treat them like crap. They say, are you a Zionist? If you're a Zionist, we're not serving you. This is people acting in whatever ways that they feel they can to resist. And a lot of Israelis don't like it. Their kids don't like it. They don't want their kids in the country. But bad things happening. We don't hear this. What we hear is from Netanyahu spoke to Fox News the other day, and he said, "Oh yeah, our economy is wonderful. We're producing all the stuff. Everybody wants to buy Israeli." Well, actually, Mr. Netanyahu, that's not true, and that's fine. Anyway, they surveyed the people in Israel, the voters, which is everybody, well, all the Jews, all the Israelis, and a tiny bit of Arabs that are allowed to vote. They have some of those. They actually have some members in Knesset, which will have to choose one of the three parties to ally with. In any case, what they said was, what's some of your big concerns? In their top three concerns in Israel was, we think there's going to be a civil war. A civil war in Israel. This is what they're thinking about. Now, you ask Americans, Trump, the TDS, the pro-Trump, the anti-Trump, are we divided? Yeah, yes, we're kind of divided. Can we be made more divided with this two-party system? Sure. It has levers that it can pull and push to divide us. But, we don't hear all Americans, maybe me, I want the country to break in a bunch of different pieces. I want it to do so peacefully. But most people in America are not afraid of civil war. They're afraid they can't pay their rent. They're going, they're poor. The kids can't buy a house. They're not going to get any grandchildren. They know this. They're concerned about these things. They don't like corruption in government. They don't like Trump's making money. Biden's kid was making money. How come we can't have honorable politicians? They're concerned about that. But if you did a poll in the United States, top 10 things you're worried about, civil war is not really usually in the top 10. It's in the top 3. It's in the top 3 in Israel right now. So that reflects what they're thinking and going through and dealing with. And these are a bunch of people that most Americans, honestly, their attitude towards other people that are not Zionist, because they even don't like Jews that are anti-Zionist. They don't like anti-Zionist Jews. They'll kill them in a heartbeat. Like
they call them self-hating Jews is what they call
right.
them.
And they don't like those guys. In fact, those guys are probably Zionists worth, that's the real Achilles heel of Zionism, is that it doesn't speak for Jewish people. But in any case, the people are concerned there. And they're hateful people for most part. 80% of them want to kill man, woman, and child of Palestine. They sing their kids sing songs about annihilating Gaza so we can move in and take a clean, pristine, bulldozed over territory. This is their attitude, and yet, even with something that most Americans do not share, a kind of racism. And I don't think Americans are racist like that. I think that's why the rest of the world kind of likes us, because we're not racist. We have our racist issues, but we as a people are not racist people. Israelis,
I'd like to think that. I'd like to think that in a way, but I'm sorry. I think we are.
Well, I don't think we are. I'll tell you why we're not. I think you see.
And I'll tell you one thing real quick why we are, and you can add this into why we're not. When you poll most conservatives in this state, in this country, and Donald Trump supporters, immigration is always in the top three of their issues. Go ahead.
There is that. No, immigration and I think immigration has been presented to people as this horde of people at the border coming in. But I'll tell you, and this is why I think I'll give you one story that tells me that what I thought, because I live in the Appalachian part. I live in a pretty much white county for the most part. It's pretty white. It's not a big county, but it's 92% white people. And maybe 8% Spanish, or not even that much, and like 2% Black. So it's not very integrated, if you could say that. And I went to a family reunion. We invited, not my family, it was the neighbors, people who had lived here, white Irish folk who had lived here. And I had talked to them. Sexist. I'm friends with them, but I'm just saying some of the older generation, the things they would say would shock you, burn your ears. And so they invited us down to the firehouse where they had a family reunion. And there were so many non-white family members there, Black kids, Hispanic kids, people speaking Spanish. And this is why I say, on the surface, racism is a political issue. And yes, it's bad, and it's probably used to divide us. But if you look at how people live, we are integrated through marriage. We're integrated through our relationships. We're integrated through people we work with, our friends at work. And now I'm speaking working class. I didn't go to any rich parties. These people, where I live, there are some wealthy people, but none of them were at this reunion. These were working class people. A lot of them probably had EBT cards. They're scraping by, making their living, not getting rich by any means. And they live here. Their kids live here. This is their home, whatever. And there's huge amounts of tolerance because we love our family. Even if we say we don't want a guy 1,000 miles away from the border, to come over, we say, oh, that's bad. But but we embrace the other. And I think that's why Americans are appreciated around the world as people, because we aren't inherently racist. Now, I'm not saying we weren't 200 years ago, but I don't think today that we are. So anyway, I forgot how I got on that racist thing.
We're talking about are we racist?
Israel is, but Israel is a problem, and I know people who have relatives in Israel who have been disconnected from their families, kind of like you're a non-person to me anymore, because they married the wrong person. They married a Gentile of some sort. They married a Palestinian. They rejected Zionism, and that is cause for you're not with us anymore. So those people, the Zionists, are not the same as Americans, not at all, which is another reason not to integrate our military with them. But even they're concerned about differences of opinion that rise to the level of civil war. And I think that's a point of light. I think that's a sign that everything is not quite as it seems in terms of who's got power and who doesn't. But anyway, I just want to throw that in.
I do think, though, in Israel, a lot of the question, the civil war that's taking place it's interesting because, like you said, 80% of the public still believes that they have a right to exist, meaning that they can wipe out Palestinians and move them off their land. It is a definitely, and this is, coming from people like Norm Finkelstein. When I interviewed him, And he had said Israel is different than it was 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, you had a lot more Israeli voices, Jewish voices for the Palestinians. And they've been, propagandized and groomed out of that now. You got a couple generations of school where you're teaching kids that Muslims hate you because you are Jewish.
Oh, sure.
That's going to set in, and that's why you have Israel the way it is today. You know what I'm saying? That's
Israel,
an operation.
Israel's a state-run society. It's a society that centers around the state. It is the ultimate fascist state.
Yeah.
The state is everything. Everything is the state. If you're a citizen, then you agree with the government. If you're a citizen, you go to the schools and you listen to what the government wants you to say, and that's what you learn. The government, Netanyahu just and the whole Knesset just I don't know if the whole Knesset anyway. They rejected a supreme. The Israeli High Court made a ruling about how evenly or even-handedly media will be managed by the state. So everything's the state.
And it's treated like an abuse shelter. Like, we're here because we have the state here because you need a place to go. You're hated because you're Jewish, and we're going to protect those right. You know what I'm saying? And when you can make somebody the victim, man, you can do a lot to a lot of other people. And they don't seem to have that. I know a lot of people, they used to talk negatively about, I believe his first name was Nouriel Rabin, right? Nouriel Rabin, who they say that now who killed, was part of the coup to kill the guy to get him out, to get the more radical Israeli Zionists in power. But,
and another thing they were scared of, and it could have been in the context of the Civil War, was an assassination, a domestic assassination by warring factions. Not warring, but politically opposing factions. And that's kind of, it's a good reason not to want to live in Israel, that's for sure. I mean, this is the mentality of the state there.
But they don't even have anybody like Rabin anymore. They're way past that.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at Naftali Bennett to replace. I mean, that's
he's a mini Netanyahu with less English skills. He has a little bit of an accent that's not.
He's worse. He's worse. He talks about Palestinians as if they're the enemy, no matter what. There is no, at least, Netanyahu will lie to the people every once in a while and act like they're human beings that he's pushing out. Guys, we want you to call in. There's still a little bit of time left. The number is 561-247-2721. We've had up, doesn't the system, both Republican and Democrats, share equal blame for America's imperialistic behavior towards Iran? The reason why we're talking about that is because we can see the Democrats swinging back into play. Just watching people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer try to put this on Donald Trump's shoulders. Well, we had ways of curtailing the Iranians. We would starve them out and kill their women and children that way through sanctions. We didn't go and drop bombs on them, says the Democrats nowadays. But we can see them swinging back into place. Rabin was talking about his two-state deal, by the way. That's what somebody says, pulling the strings.
That's true, yeah.
There's no contiguous piece of land. How are they going to do that?
Yeah, well, that's on purpose. Of course, it would be. Well, it wouldn't be. Nothing's impossible, but you would almost have to. I mean, to move the tortured borders that Israel has created in the West Bank, which allow no Palestinian connectivity or movement without a big deal of trouble. And, this is done on purpose. This is conscientious design so that they say, well, it's way too hard for us to pull out. But, I hate to say this, but, we have towns in Nebraska and Kansas and all kinds of places where they had towns that were really nice and big and they were doing fine. And then something changed in the economy, the weather, who knows what. And those towns vacated and there are no towns there. There's just there's nothing. There's no people. There's maybe a few buildings. And so things change in the longer, bigger picture of things. So nothing's impossible. But yeah, they've designed it so that they can't have a two-state. They don't want a two-state. But the weird thing is, instead of just wanting to expel like they did in the Nakba in 48 and also continually in since then, it's not just wanting to. They also murdered and killed. There's a lot of videos of guys, old European Jews who came down, participated in the very beginning of Israel. Not a lot of them are alive remaining, but there's video of them getting interviews and they're talking about what they did. And of course, it was a bloody, murderous thing. And we say, oh, well,
they're laughing about it.
Yeah, they're laughing about it, and they're talking about whether to kill him or rape him first and then kill him. It's just like very much just it's not the fairy tale founding. It is bloody from the beginning. And so that doesn't bode well for a long-term survival of that state, regardless of how much they try to make it so that no land can be returned to the Palestinians who lived there before. There's a reason that they are destroying government centers and places, records, churches. Say, oh, why are they doing churches and mosques? Well, they're in colleges and universities. That's where the records of land ownership, that's where the long-term history of who lived here long before, Israel showed up as Zionism and decided they were going to take the property. So they don't want any record. They use the word erasure to erase the people. And that is, of course, what they're trying to do. But it doesn't mean they're going to be successful, even though they have been successful. I mean, my goodness.
I think we have a caller, right? Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Pasta, it's Jay, man. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, Jay? You're here with the Colonel on Wednesday. Jay Johnson's in the house, everybody.
Hey, so I really appreciate where you guys are coming from. And as a minority and former soldier, my concerns are to our nation. And that stated, I can sympathize with soldiers who I see who are in the IDF who are going through PTSD, but my concerns largely lie with those who were formerly in the IDF and were whistleblowers and came out. My concern lies with the United States as we're looking at, from what I perceive to be almost a corporate acquisition of our Defense Department. And so as I worry about our nation and what the landscape here will look like as we have Zionists come over who are doing things which are, as my family is largely from the South, many things which look like Bull Connor would have done with water hoses, except worse. They're leveling land. What our nation is going to look like if this is allowed? If we're going to have a parasite, almost a tick, come in and have an ideology which hyper extremes a lot of the perspectives that people have about other ethnicities and ideologies here. So I would be curious to see people have interviews with people who are not state sponsored, like you would on Piers Morgan and whatnot. More people who are whistleblowers. I would be curious to see those who are within the population now speak out in almost a whistleblower fashion, saying, hey, look, this is what we have going on here, but we are adamantly agree or adamantly disagree because we see these extremes. I want to hear about the people in the gray. Well, what may be coming to the United States? Because that's what I see. Like, okay, it's there. It comes to the Defense Department and the NDAA. Then we start adopting policies. Who are we adopting? What mindset?
Yeah. But what you're asking for, Jay, you're asking for the state to pull away from their divide and conquer tactics of putting on the people who are not in the gray, the people who are on one side or the other. And when you start talking gray, you're going to encourage people to think for themselves. And Colonel, we can't have people think for themselves now, can we?
No, we can't, but we can't stop it. That's the beauty of it. People are waking up, and we're already seeing little bits and pieces of specifically what integration with Israel's military and technology sector already looks like, and their government. Because this NDAA thing that's happening without debate, apparently without allowed debate, and maybe we'll be able to strip out all that stuff this time, but it's going to keep coming back. But that's already been happening. And when you think about,
this has been going on for a while, right?
Well, it's been going on for a while, but we can actually see it because when we watch the tone and tenor of those ICE raids that we all got to see in Minneapolis and other places too. And also before this, we had militarization of our cops with excess military gear. This is since late Reagan, early
after Iraq, right?
Yeah. And they militarized the police. Every little town has a SWAT team. Our little county of 40,000 people got probably 2 or 3 special tactical vehicles and a SWAT team. Don't ask me what they do, but if they ever come here, somebody will probably die, and it won't be them. It'll probably be the unarmed citizen that they're approaching, because they're filled with, the whole idea you can call SWAT, anonymously call SWAT, and they won't check anything out. They'll just report and shoot. This is the door busting type stuff that the IDF does as a matter of training. It's also what our soldiers did. If in the folks in Iraq and Afghanistan who are maybe in the gray or speaking out about what they did, they said, you know what? A lot of what I did is I kicked in doors and terrorized families. And I don't know why I did that. I don't know how that made America stronger or helped our defense. But so they're noticing. And other of them are just doing, well, this is what I was told to do, and this is what I'm doing. I'm going to be the best Army guy I can be in Afghanistan. And maybe you can walk away from that intellectually and spiritually, or maybe you can't. But we're already seeing the impact, and it's a dehumanization of the larger population, regardless of what their parties. It's, you live here, this is a bad neighborhood, you must be bad. We're gonna take you out. We have the force. FISA. How long's FISA been around? The FISA court where they rubber stamp everything. We can spy on anybody we want to. Just who cares? We're already becoming. And I say like Israel. It's not like Israel. We're becoming fascist. And this always made me mad when they called Trump a fascist before he earned it. And this is what bothered me, because it's like you use the word people who call other parties fascist, like the Republicans call the Democrats fascist, fascists call the Democrats call the Republicans fascist. I'm like, actually, guys, our best ally is a fascist nation. They operate under rules, regulations, and a system of economic and state integration that Hitler would have advocated and would have been very proud of. If he didn't hate Jews so bad, he would have said, hey, that's great work. So we don't really think about what fascism is. Both parties love it. It empowers the state. It empowers the connected industries to that state. And it allows no justice, and it allows the abuse of everybody else. And so the technology, then you have the last decade of AI revolution, a technology that allows that control, the surveillance state. Who's surveilling who? We're not getting to surveil them. They're surveilling us. And they're able to, we're not allowed to be armed. And even if we were armed, what good would it do? We're all, we're out. We're not in a militia. We're not organized armed people. Who's the organized armed force? It's police and guard and the military. And Israel's very comfortable. Israel's from the very beginning is very comfortable with that model. And that's what they're bringing to this country. And we're sitting here, we say, oh, that's fascist. This is fascist. We don't know what fascism is. Trust me, it's already here. Okay. And Israel is the master of it. And we're going to integrate with them. So now you're going to wake up to something we can't control, something we are going to have a really tough time fighting. We're going to get those. And that's why the flock camera, he damaged a couple of flock cameras doing it. Didn't harm anybody.
We heard, Karen, that there's so many reports about flock cameras out there that we can't find the specific guys' names. So I guess people are kind of, and you know what, just to piggyback off what you're saying, we'll get Jay to jump back in when he gets a chance. But the flock cameras are a result of allowing the Pfizer courts to go too crazy. If that wasn't a warning bell to the Americans to get out into the fucking streets and say, these Pfizer courts are ridiculous, get rid of them. The Patriot Act, abolish it. Do something. And I believe that, Jay will always talk about the Patriot Act, won't you, Jay?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, again, my position on the Patriot Act is not to, rescind it. Rescind everything that went along with it. And going in with that.
Yeah.
Exactly. That way we can take whatever policies, which are children of those policies, and pull those along with it through the poison tree. I would be interested to hear from the Colonel about this one thing. I do agree with getting out into the streets and having a message, but since we have such a major uptick in our flag officers these days, our senior flag officers who don't want to follow Cub Cadet into crazy warfare, I'd be curious as to whether or not they could help us strategize a way to build a coalition of people to go out there to protest, and with messaging that is effective and affects the whole, because we've never had such a mass of flag officers to come and help us strategize before. We've never had this many step out and to say, look, I'm not doing this anymore. So if we could possibly adopt any of them into our concerns to help get our nation not just back, but to stop what actions are in place currently or about to be adopted, like the NDAA, and help us get out there and start protesting in a way that's meaningful. One way that we might be able to even pull back Citizens United. It would be so helpful, and I'm wondering if the Colonel has any strategic thoughts on that, because having them to help the citizens of America directly would be incredible.
Yeah, it really would be incredible if it worked like that, and it could work like that. Periodically, it has. Smedley Butler. Usually, it comes way too late, but Smedley Butler. He spent many 33 or 35 years. I think he was a 2-star general in the Marines doing imperialism stuff, and he woke up to it towards the end, and then he became a civilian, and he took action because he was a brave individual anyway, and he called out a plot of some sort, and he got publicity for that, and he wrote his War's a Racket, and he actually he ran a campaign for president. It was kind of like the Ross Perot thing without Ross Perot, because Butler was really a highly decorated guy and had people respect the military. Sometimes they probably shouldn't, but they did, and he had that cachet. So, and he did kind of okay, but didn't win. And then after that, I'm not sure I think he continued to write, but there's that. Then you bring to the present. You got a guy like Colonel McGregor, right? He's not a general. He's a colonel, because we don't promote guys that think like Colonel McGregor into flag officer position. This is one of the big problems. By the time they get to that level, they've already had what we call the flag officer lobotomy. They have been transformed into state vehicles, state robots, basically. Very few can survive that lobotomy. But you take McGregor, he has got a kind of a political movement behind what he's been working on it for some time. Yeah. And he speaks the truth, and he's very knowledgeable, of course, and he has a vision. Unlike he's a typical military person in that he has a plan, and his plan for what he thinks will help fix or reform the American government, because he's still with the system, but he has a plan, and it's a good plan, and he's out there with that. Then you have other guys, and not so many of them, but I'll give you an example. A guy who didn't even want to help, but ended up doing it. General Clark, Wesley Clark, back in 2007.
Yes.
It's a famous video where he talked about, hey guys, I know what you're worried about. We got a big plan. It's 7 countries in 7 years. And
by the way, that leads to the question today. We talked about this. Doesn't the system, both Republican and Democrat, share equal blame for America's imperialistic behavior towards Iran?
Yeah.
Wesley Clark showed it was entities beyond Republican and Democrats saying these are the 7 countries you are going to invade. And Iran was the cherry on top. Please continue,
That's right.
Colonel.
Yeah, and Wesley Clark is associated with the Democratic Party in terms of he's their guy. And there's a couple others. Barry McCaffrey is another general who does the talk show stuff. He's been on Fox, but he's elsewhere, and he also has been associated not with the Republicans. The Democrats say, well, he's one of the Democrats. I think he's kind of in the middle, but he still gets, and he's a critic. But these guys, except for Colonel McGregor, most of these guys don't offer a kind of military plan. When I say military, just in the sense of organizing people, the movement of people, the leadership of people. Only McGregor does that. And I'm not sure how big his movement is, but he's an asset to a larger movement. And then you've got all these younger guys, which unfortunately, we've got people that are sacrificing themselves, like the guy that immolated himself in front of the Israeli embassy last year in protest of Gaza.
Aaron Bushnell.
We've got these guys. We've got some people who are sharing information, like Chelsea did years ago with in 2004 or 5 with Iraq. what's her last name? It was
Manning, Chelsea Manning.
Chelsea Manning. Yeah. So she did it. She shared information and paid a price in jail. A couple other guys more recently have shared information. Some of them apparently inadvertently. They're in jail. Okay. John Kiriakou, CIA guy who I think he has military experience before this, but Kiriakou spent 2 years in jail because he said that CIA was torturing people in Guantanamo, which is what everyone knew. Other people had testified to this, but Kiriakou, as a CIA agent, they punished him.
They didn't just testify it; they justified it. That's why they started listing people as enemy combatants, so they could take away their rights, not give them due process.
That's right.
They did this on purpose and whatnot.
That's right.
That was the evilness of the George W. Bush administration with Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, the way they changed the language in which they can then take away rights and destroy people's fucking
That's right. That's right. And that is something that has become part of the empire. So then you have Obama. He conducted assassinations, increased wars, and we say, oh, no matter who you elected, nothing
ruined
changed.
American citizens without a warrant and due process.
That's right. And and our ally Israel is imprisoning Americans and killing them, and not a word is said in Washington. So we're already integrated. It's a big problem, and I do like that. But here, I'll tell you where I'm disappointed. I'll give one example, and I hope I'm probably missing others. But remember the guy that was in charge of Caribbean Force, the South, I don't know if he was the Southcom commander.
You're talking about the guy who resigned?
He resigned and he gave no reason. Usually, so I want to spend more time with my family.
Right around bombing of the
yes, it was right before.
It was murder of the Caribbean fishermen. Disguised as fentanyl dealers, where 0% of the fentanyl comes
and murdering them. Murdering that. I read another
the double tap while there's in the waters, fucking.
And they knew it was human. It was people, just regular people, no drugs. And they said, "Well, we're going to shoot them." And you know what they said? I'm sorry to digress here, but just to give you a fact, give you something that shows people just following orders. Okay, two people hanging off wreckage. They came back. They hung on the wreckage for 50 minutes or over an hour, something like that. They came back and they said their hands are up waving. And they said, well, we think they need to be rescued or whatever. They're obviously not armed. They're in duress. The normal military procedures, you have to rescue people like this. If it's a war, you take them prisoner. If it's you get the Coast Guard to arrest them as a arresting authority. You do something like that. No. They said, well, their hands are up. We got to do something. They said, well, are both hands up? Because they have to have both hands up.
In the water.
They're clinging to wreckage with one of their arms. So they said, no, only one hand is up. They're waving at us. They're hoping we'll rescue them. Said,
this
no,
is what the United States has become. How disgusting.
That's right.
And they allowed by the people, and you're going to support this shit? Sorry.
And the guys were told to take them out, and they followed orders. Okay. So you
are following orders.
That's right. So this is what we've become. And this general who quit before this happened, he retired. Can't say quit. He removed himself because I suspect, I'm sure many people think this, is he saw what was coming. And he said, this is lawless and I'm not going to do it. But has he spoken out yet? Has he gone public? I haven't heard a peep out of this guy. And other guys have quit. And, there's another, our black Air Force general from Kansas. I can't remember his name, but he was the chief of staff, and Trump or headset, got rid of him early on. He's very vocal and good, but you know what? He identifies the problem as Trump, not the problem of imperialism. He's anti-Trump, active in the Democratic Party, and I think we'll probably see him and hear from him more, but it will be through party apparatus, and that's going to make sure that a lot of people don't listen to him that should be listening to him. And
we're talking about Section 219, the integration of Israel in the United States, and I do believe that it's been going on for quite some time. This might change the game, make things different. And Jay, I'm going to give you the final word, but I do believe that what we are seeing is the voices that are being lifted up are the ones that are blaming Donald Trump. That's why I brought this question today, because people on the left, or the Democrats, or the American synthetic left, whatever you want to call it, they're pointing the finger at Trump. They're finding people who are saying Trump. And that's the problem we're in. That's the control mechanism. If you're talking about the system itself, like shows like this, right? And I think the way that the judge has been doing it, and Kyle Anzalone has been doing it, right? Where we're talking about just look at this on surface level. Don't look at it from a Republican or Democrat's lenses. Let's just look at the facts of what's going on. These people are the enemies of the state, right? If they can keep people in a divide and conquer mentality when they're just blaming the other tribe or the other cult in this matter, because it's more cultish behavior than tribal behavior. Thank you, Gabrielle Freedom. You are right at that. Then they win. Any independent thinking, any looking at it at the surface, anybody saying, wait a second, this isn't a Republican or a Democratic problem. It's an imperialistic problem, and we have to kill the system itself. Those are the people who are going to be silenced, and that's where we're at now. We're in a worse place than we were before, because when the Republicans were getting censored, people like Dan Bongino, the Twitter files came out, and they made it look like it was just conservatives that were getting censored, when it was really anti-establishment, anti-imperialist. And Karen, you've pointed this out. You're not Republican or Democrat anymore. The divide is imperialistic or anti-imperialistic.
That's right.
Jay Johnson, take the last 60 seconds. We're running out of time, but you get the final word today.
I appreciate it. So I agree with all those points. I would argue that, while a lot of these people, they are systematically wanting to go and work for Lockheed to do the old revolving door. I think that now is the time that if we can get Colonel McGregor and anyone else to step up and get these flag officers who have stepped down to come together for the United States, for the people of the United States of America, now would be the time. It would be also great, on a separate point, to start seeing some media come out showing what a lot of people are fear-mongered on the right about the Muslim Brotherhood doing this, that, and the other. Seeing actual what's being expanded is the imperialism of Israel, and how the propaganda of that is what's fueling all this fear, so they can see the points versus counterpoints. All of that stated, thanks so much, Colonel, and thanks, Pasta, for having me on.
You're going to be a regular,
later,
Jay
man.
Johnson. We need you. Don't you go too far, my man. We need you, Bubba.
I'm right here, brother. Right here.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
All right, buddy. See you soon. Colonel, don't be late for your next show, okay?
Don't worry. I'm sorry.
I want 20 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, right? And I don't know, write me a dissertation on something you're writing anyways. You're going on Kyle Lands alone today. I really wish the judge would have reached out to some of us. I would have been honored to, but I think Kyle could have held it down, and maybe a couple other people could have held it down, because I think that show is so important. It was so funny to me yesterday. I'm like, the judge is not on this week. He's not on for 2 weeks. What am I going to do? What am I going to listen to? I scream. How am I going to get? Oh, well, let me go to Kyle and see what he's got going on. But you are on Kyle Angelo's show today. You held it down while he was on assignment. So what time is that at today? And let us know what you're writing about, what you got going on. And listen, you can come any day late here, because anytime we get with you, we really appreciate you. And that's a good topic we attacked today. War is back on. Next week when we're talking, we'll see where we're at in this whole thing. But these are really scary times, Karen. Take it away.
Yeah, they really are. The fact that the ease with which Trump administration, backed by Congress, I'm sure, kicked that MOU and destroyed it. After all the time and effort, at least on the side of the Iranians, to make it happen. And what did Congress do when they got it? They said, this is no good for America. We don't want peace. And this was the Republic. This is the whole AIPAC-owned Congress. We don't want peace. Israel doesn't want peace. This can't be allowed to stand. Israel won't abide by it. They didn't abide by it. And now we're not abiding by it, even though Trump wanted to check that off as another piece. Even though he started the war, he wanted to check it off as a piece that he had accomplished. And no, threw it in the garbage. And people's lives are at stake. And it just makes you concerned about being an American, who I think most Americans, we know 80% oppose this war, and yet we have no real ways to leverage our own government. We have elections, but it doesn't work. So anyway, we need change. I like what the caller said. We've got to find some new ways to save our country, or else it won't be saved. It's just that simple.
Yeah. That's Lieutenant Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski, retired Air Force colonel, had a seat at the Pentagon. Does a lot of great writing, a lot of great shows. I like I said, I've been so honored to have you here on Wednesdays. The human perspective that you bring to the table is great. very slight disagreements we have, but I think those are important to have those conversations. The conversation about the EPA today was very important, and we'll see you next week. You have fun out there in the country land.
All right, I will. Thanks so much.
What time on Kyle Lands Alone today? It's live, right? What time?
4:45 Eastern. It's
guys, go check it on out. If you're having Judge Knapp withdrawals and you need another show, this is a great show. Go see the Colonel over on Kyle Lands Alone. Our good friend, the Big Ragu, who will be here tomorrow morning holding it down. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.
We got it. Maestro, let's hit the music. What a fun show today. It flew by. People are saying it flew by. It does. When you're having time flies by. And we've been able to accomplish that here at this show. Not just me and my guest and my co-host, but you, the audience. Today was only 2 callers, but it was the professor, Kevin from Rockaway, who will probably be joining me today at my show at 4 p.m. on WBAI. We do it once a week over there on 99.5. So all the people in New York can hear our voices. Look, as we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matter. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint, share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and that peace growing. For Sleepy J on the ones and twos, the engineer extraordinaire, Gabrielle Freedom and Fred Edward in the chat, our producers that are always helping us out and holding it down. We welcome you back. Thank you so much. To Kevin Cash, the caller, to Jay Johnson, to the Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski. You can catch her on Kyle Lands Alone at the Kyle Lands Alone show at 4:45. And the Big Ragu, Kyle, will be with us himself tomorrow. I love you all. I'll see you later. And don't forget it. Spread the peace.